I watched Brave New World relatively recently as a matter of research for the video I'm writing about mechanical animals. And you know, I've looked at a few comment sections and stuff about Brave New World, and most people seem to have the impression that Brave New World is like, it's like, oh wow, isn't this scary? You know? Like, imagine if society could actually get this way. That's frightening. It's horrifying. But I don't know. I mean, I watched it, and there are a few differences between the movie that I watched, that's about 3 hours long, and the book. But I don't think it's all that different from the book. I think it's mostly pretty much what was in the book. I haven't read the book, but from what I know about it, seems relatively accurate. But I don't know. I watched that movie and I didn't come away with it with the impression that this hypothetical, speculative society is really all that bad. And I guess that really kind of gets to my interest in post-individualist ideas. Not pre-individualist sort of conformism and collectivism, but post-individualist, like a sort of retreating into the collective because the individual world has proven a little bit too unruly. Obviously, I'm someone who's very fascinated by these sorts of ideas, and I've thought about them a lot, and they influence the way I kind of think about the world. And I think I'm more sympathetic to them than a lot of other people are. Because I really find compelling this idea of soma, which I connect to. There was this article in Time magazine in the 1950s called the "Don't Give a Damn" pill. And it became kind of a famous saying, a famous phrase, a famous title. Because in the 1950s, there was this sort of rise of this idea of the "don't give a damn" pill, which was like, you know, different kind of antidepressants they were coming out with, and different drugs that people were taking that just mellowed them out and made them not care about stuff. The 50s also saw the rise of lobotomy, which was a procedure meant to cure a lot of different sort of psychological ailments. But what it really did was it just disconnected the brain from its own emotions in a way. So you still feel the weirdness, you still like have the symptoms, but they just don't matter to you, which is interesting. But I find myself when I watch this film thinking, well, I feel like the world would be a better place if we had just a steady supply of soma available to everyone, because it seems to make them productive. It seems to make them comfortable with just doing what they're told to do. And after all, like, isn't that a good thing? People are so, I don't know, people are so against this idea of, like, doing what they're told to do. Of obedience. And, you know, I'm against the obbedire part of the fascist credo, obviously. I said that in my video. But I'm against it because, like, sometimes you get told to do things that are wrong. But when it comes to, like, having this sort of um, what do you call it? Impudent, is that what it is? This sort of personality type that just doesn't want to do what it's told. It can be okay if you're the kind of person who can thrive that way. But I think a lot of people would just be better off if they just learned how to enjoy what they're supposed to do, you know? Like, enjoy just doing what you're supposed to do and not having to ask too many questions about it. And for that, I think this soma drug, this thing that just sort of makes you passively accept your circumstances and be okay with things, from what I could understand in the film, that's what it seemed to be about. Yeah, it seems actually like a pretty good deal to me. But that's the trade-off that's being commented on with this, is that you have the character John Savage, who seems to just love being miserable, you know, because he isn't happy, but it's like he doesn't even want to be happy, because he thinks all this sort of artificial happiness in the Brave New World is unnatural and wrong. And in my mind, I mean, other people might see this character and think like, yeah, that's the real man there. But to me, he actually is kind of a savage. When I look at that guy, I mean, he actually does strike me as someone who is kind of regressive. And, you know, this idea that you can that you can find meaning in suffering or blah blah blah. I mean, fair enough, it's a fair idea if it gets you through the day, but I can just tell you that it ain't my shit. Like, I'm not really interested in suffering at all. And if I can live without suffering, even if it means, you know, getting rid of a few things that I like, such as individuality, it's probably worth it in the end, because, you know, my stance on life, we're all forever dirt. So, I mean, the thing is, one of the things that gets me through my life is the tremendous amount of sort of individual expression and interests and all the fascinating things that humanity has to offer, and the being able to interpret things and learn about things, learn about history and all that. One thing I don't really like about the Brave New World Society is that they like have this really strong like pro-ignorance, anti-knowledge perspective. And they also have this weird, like, we have to condition people not to enjoy flowers. I don't know what the problem with flowers is. Oh, they're not productive. But I don't think, like, literally everything needs to be productive. That's kind of the part of it, which is kind of on the nose satire, like any society would actually come about. That's like, yeah, anti-flowers, anti good things, pleasant things. But there is a truth to this sort of desire for people to seek comfort over freedom, and to seek comfort over things that could be more difficult but also more rewarding. But I think for me, I'm always on the side of comfort, personally. And unfortunately, that's not the world I live in. I don't live in the sort of utopian world of this society. So I can't really just have that. I have to sort of live a life that I don't really want to live. Because I guess it's just the way we live. You know, we haven't developed a utopia yet. But I am interested in utopia, and I do consider the Brave New World society to be a utopia. And it doesn't even seem that bad. Like, the people who can't fit in with it don't, in the movie at least, they don't get, like, punished for not fitting in. Instead, they just get, like, sent to another part of the world where maybe they'll be able to fit in better, you know? So the society really is not focused on, like, trying to like force other people to conform. It's more about, like, this is a conformist society and you have to conform in this society, but if you can't conform, well, there are options. We can, like, relocate you to other areas where you might be able to have more freedom and less comfort, you know. So, like, even if you cannot go along to get along, you're still not gonna get, like, killed or anything. It's not like they're that anti-humanity. Even though they are definitely, they definitely have an unnatural sort of way of living, way of approaching life, kind of mechanized life. But I don't know. I don't particularly dislike that. I mean, I think, like, there are trade-offs in both systems. I mean, I think the highs that you get from this world are better than the highs that you would get in the soma world, even though you're always on drugs. But still, like, the lows of this world are really just not worth it. Like, they're just not worth it to me. Other people might disagree. But I don't know, we're shown in the movie that you are kind of allowed to disagree. It's just that they strongly try to condition you from birth not to, because they believe that it's better for people to not disagree. But, like, if you do happen to still disagree even after all that, you know, you just, what are they gonna do? They're not, their whole mission is to make people happy and make people content, and so they're not going to hurt people just because they can't be happy under the current system. They're just going to relocate them, which I think is fair. You know, that's one of the things I like the most about that movie, is that it really, you would think, oh yeah, the big catch is that anyone who can't fit in gets, like, the axe, but no. It's not even like that. There isn't even really a catch like that. The catch is just the system itself. Like, you're kind of tasked with, as the viewer, like, can you justify your own existence when this utopia is staring you in the face? Can you justify the savage life when you could have this? And vice versa. And the movie doesn't really give us an answer on this. I mean, John Savage kills himself, but we're also left with the director at the end starting to seemingly sort of question things, and because he has read Shakespeare, and he has read even way more than what John Savage has read. And something about that experience seems to have awakened in him an interest in literature that he either never had or he suppressed. And so that's kind of fascinating how that ends. It's not really like we're shown this is some sort of morality tale where at the end there's the moral. It's more like you have to make a choice at the end. Which one do you prefer? And personally, as much as I love, you know, the kind of stuff that I do for this YouTube channel, which you wouldn't be able to do in the soma world, I'm picking the soma world. You know, as much as I love the stuff that I can do in this world that I couldn't do in the soma world, and as much meaning and purpose and fulfillment and just deep satisfaction it brings me in this world, I would be willing to give it up like that for no suffering. It would honestly, it would be easy for me, you know. It'd be easy as pressing a button. That was easy. This is VEDN Day 7. See you tomorrow for VEDN Day 8.